love to know, with a show of hands, who was on here yesterday? Who did the space exercise yesterday? I like to call it home play rather than homework, because homework just sounds like a bit of work, doesn't it? And home play kind of feels fun and light and like a lot of playful energy. So I'd love to know who did the home play yesterday and really took stock of, and did that check-in today and took stock of where they were actually using their time. If you feel called to, I would love to know in the comments, not that I can see them, but I will read them like I did yesterday after the session below. What did you notice? Was there any surprise? Because what I find when I've done this, and I often have to do this with myself when I feel like life is kind of leading me rather than me leading my time, is there's often a surprise. And I often end up spending time in areas that aren't actually adding value to my life. And I wonder why things aren't, I'm not necessarily getting ahead, and that's because I'm just using a lot of time in an ineffective way. And that's why I love the whole notion of space. Where is space? Where am I being supported in my day, and where am I being drained? Where are the holes in my bucket? Where are the leaky holes, and how do I plug those up? Because without that visibility or that consciousness around your most important commodity, how do you know? And how can you begin to create change if you haven't begun to create space? So please do let me know in the comments. And if you haven't done day one, no problem at all. These videos, these lives are recorded, and so it's very easy for you to just pop back into the group after this one and go through day one, because they've been designed in a modular way, so each micro workshop builds on the one before. And yeah, I guess just a recap on yesterday: when your prefrontal cortex is full, when you're constantly thinking, reacting to what's in front of you, making decisions, there's no room for anything new. And if there's no space, like I mentioned before, nothing can stick. So with that aside, with yesterday aside, today we go a layer deeper, because once you see what's happening, the next question, you can see where your time's going, is why do you keep going back to the same patterns? And we all have been there. We all do it, right? Where we get locked into the same patterns that replay over and over and over again. It's something that I see all the time, something that I've done myself many times, where say you decide at the start of the year, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym, 3 days a week, and you get the workout gear and you sign up to the gym and you work out with your friends and you're like, yeah, let's do this. I'm really committed. I'm really excited about doing it. And you do it for a few days and you feel really proud of yourself, but then work gets a bit busy, or you get some stressful news, or you just have a crap sleep the night before and you wake up the next day and you're like, I don't feel like doing it. I'm not going to do it. And that continues. And then the next day you feel the same way. And then a few days later, you're right back to where you started, a non-gym goer. And it can feel really frustrating. And you can beat yourself up about the fact that you intended to start something, you did start something, but then you went off track and you abandoned that new goal that you'd set for yourself. Has anyone been there before, or is it just me? Is it just me on this one, or can you resonate with that pattern as well? Because it's something that I see a lot on retreat when I talk to many of our guests, and something that I've experienced a lot myself. And it's something that's so common because of, again, the way our brain is designed. And this is where I want to talk about a different way of doing things that allows you to achieve so much more than you can imagine, and to make these goals and these dreams that you have stick. And it builds so much confidence, because every time you follow through on something that you choose to do, you build what I call self-trust. It's these little micro reinforcements of self-trust. I can do this, and I've proven to myself that I can do it. So then you go on to the next thing and the next thing with that self-belief that you can do things that you set your mind to. But the way in which you do it can be completely different. And that's what I wanted to chat about today. So where identity comes from is something in your brain called, and I'm not going to ask you to repeat this, there's an abbreviation. I'm Kiwi, we like abbreviations, but there's an abbreviation for this. It's called your reticular activating system. So let's just call it RAS, or an even shorter name that will stick is your filter, your brain filter. Has anyone heard that before? Your RAS, or your reticular activating system, if we get all technical on it. I'd love to know if you've heard of it before. But the beauty of understanding this is it allows you to set goals in a different way, where you actually go with the flow of them rather than against them, dipping into your limited reservoir of willpower. And because your brain is always trying to, in the system, this filter is always trying to keep your current reality consistent with what you believe, it's deciding what you notice. It's deciding what stands out. It decides what feels relevant to you based upon your identity, based upon what you consciously keep telling yourself who you are. And so rather than setting a goal, it's about understanding the identity of who you want to become. And I thought it's always good just giving a personal example, isn't it? A little story, and I'm a storyteller. I always love to break down concepts by sharing something. But for those that were on the call yesterday, I mentioned after I gave birth to my first daughter, Indy, 9.5 years ago, I contracted bacterial meningitis. It was really serious. I was in hospital and separated from my newborn for 3 weeks. And after that, it's a traumatic brain injury. I was bedbound for many years, and it just changed my entire identity, the way that I saw myself. And I got chronic fatigue over that time. So everything that I loved was fitness and movement and being this buzzy, high vibe, energetic person that literally bounced around. I couldn't really sit still. And suddenly I became this sedentary person. I ended up having another baby, which I was very fortunate to have, Lula, a few years after that, whilst I had chronic fatigue. And I put on a lot of weight. And without realizing it, I had this belief about myself, was that I was chronically ill. I needed to preserve and protect my energy. So that meant stopping the things I loved, like going to the gym, anything that would require energy of me, or brain capacity, or time, socializing, movement, being out in nature, traveling, all these things that were such a core part of my whole identity up until 42 years of age just evaporated, because I had this big life event that happened that blindsided me, and suddenly I believed something different about myself. And you know, I have a lot of grace for that version of me back then, because she was doing what she thought she needed to survive and to preserve and to show up for her kids and her family and her business, and in those little micro ways. And that was really about hunkering down and protecting her energy and herself. So that belief shaped everything. I wore very dark clothes, like even the way I physically showed up, dark clothes, black clothes, baggy, and I just didn't feel fit. My whole world and fitness world just evaporated. Nothing in my world at all reflected health or fitness. And the interesting thing is, I didn't even notice, because my identity changed. That RAS system I told you about, the filter, the brain filter, changed as well. So those things that I was telling myself, I need to protect my energy, I am chronically ill, I have chronic fatigue, I need to do less, I need to stay inside and hunker down. That's the world that my brain showed me. And so I didn't notice, of course, my former world, because my brain wasn't showing me that world based upon my identity changing. So it became this whole pattern that just reinforced itself. It's kind of like on a really like superficial level. Say for example, like my husband is so into utes. Is that what you call them? Like utes, you know, those like, I don't really like them, but we always rent one when we go back to New Zealand because he loves them so much. And it's this, what is it? It's like this, I can't even remember the name of it, but I did back then when he started mentioning it all the time. And then all I could see was this damn ute all around. It's all I spotted. That's all I noticed. Because that's what the brain filter does. So whatever you draw awareness to, that is what you're shown, because we have 50,000 thoughts every day. It is impossible for our brain to show us all of those. So it filters. And so I realized that I no longer wanted to be that story. I think sometimes in life you can deal with a certain amount of pain. And I remember realizing that I was so far off track of where I used to be, and I had no idea how to navigate back, that I just got so frustrated. I call it something rude actually, which I might not say here, but it's the something or other line. And you get to the something or other line where you just fed up and you go, you know what? Something's got to change, and no one's going to change it for me except for me. And for me, it was something really personal. I had children later in life when I was 42 and 44. And more than anything, I knew I owed it to them, if not for myself, for them, for my husband, to be around a long time. And so that allowed me to start working on changing my patterns and my programming based upon my identity. And it felt really foreign at first. It felt like I was just kidding myself. And I started doing identity-based goals because I knew through Andrew Huberman and James Clear, like habit gurus, neuroscientists, this is steeped in science, which all spoke about make goals from an identity point of view. And when that happens, you're not forcing something, you're not dipping into your willpower, trying to make something happen. It's not about pushing, it's about pulling things towards you. And it just starts with setting, what is your new identity? Who do I want to become? Not what do I want? We ask the wrong questions of ourselves, often at the start of the year. New Year's resolutions. What do I want to become? Who do I want to become? And so I started saying things to myself like, I'm someone who values my health. I'm someone who is fit and strong, and that felt so farcical back then. It was 25 kilograms bigger. I was in pain. It was hard being that big, and I had no energy because I hadn't been to the gym in so long, and I felt really down on myself. But I knew that that's where I had to shift. So I put post-it notes in my mirror. I am someone who values my health. I'm someone who is fit and strong. I have great longevity. I am someone who is aging in reverse. And I connected it to being around for my children later in life. And I wanted to be here, fully present for a long time. So that was my why behind that. And what's so interesting is that as soon as that identity shift, everything around me started to change. Just like when I kept seeing that stupid ute all around Auckland, everything started to change. I started noticing people in beautiful workout gear. I started seeing fitness influencers. I started noticing great gym gear I could buy. I looked at new recipes online and really enjoyed shopping for healthy stuff. And it just opened up different options and different opportunities. I started wearing different clothes. No, I threw out all the black baggy stuff to start with, and into clothes that made me feel good. I started wearing lighter colors and things that I had always wanted to wear and had stopped wearing years ago. And I started investing in my health, just buying better food, tracking things. I got a Garmin watch. I got an Oura ring. For many of you, you know how much I love my Oura ring. And all of these changes, all of these things, along with the statements on my mirror, reinforced that new identity. And over time, through doing this, my whole trajectory changed. I often believe, I wish people could see these, I call them pivot points. But when you're on a trajectory in life and you create a pivot point, either through being blindsided with something or realizing that you're just fed up with your current reality and you make a shift, how it takes you somewhere completely different. Kind of like, I'm a visual person, like a ship that has just steered off onto a different course and it lands in such a different place. And so that is what happened to me, a few years ago. And so, I lost 25 kilograms. I put on 12 kilos of muscle, which was amazing in my late 40s and early 50s. And I became super strong and super fit, the fittest I'd been in so long. And it was a really proud moment because I understood then from this lived experience that we have the power to achieve greatness, great things that at some point in time we never believed that we could achieve. And that it didn't have to be forceful. It didn't have to come through force. It didn't have to come through sacrificing huge things, but it could be done in a better way. And honestly, if there's one thing, I love all the things that we're going to walk through this week, but if there's one thing that you could take from this week, let it be this. Let it be this very simple exercise that you can do anytime you have something in mind that you want to go for, that maybe you've struggled with just being consistent with, because it will work and it's incredibly powerful. It's rooted in science, like I've said before. My favorite neuroscientists and habit experts all talk about it. So lean into this one if there's anything that you do. So very, very simply, just to recap, because your brain is processing the 50,000 thoughts, like I mentioned, it can't show you everything. So it filters based on what is familiar and what is relevant to you. And so if your identity is, I don't have time, I'm not consistent, I don't follow through on things, I often abandon my health and fitness goals, I don't like dating, and there are no single wonderful men out there, then guess what? Your brain will keep reinforcing that again and again and again, and that's what you'll receive. But, and here's the thing, if you shift your reality and you shift your identity, you'll start noticing different things. You'll take different actions and you'll create different experiences. And not only that, but you will be open and opportunities will be visible to you. As soon as Trent and I ever start looking at a new project or something that we want to invite into our life, this is the exact process that we go through. And then opportunities land in our lap that we follow through on, and we laugh and we nod every time going, it's so funny. It's so funny how simple it can be. And those experiences all reinforce this new idea that you had, this new identity. So it becomes a cycle, but now it's working for you and it's not working against you, most importantly. So let me know if that makes sense. I've waffled on quite a lot, and now what I'd like to do is hand it over to you and get you to open up your workbook if you can. If everyone's got their workbook with them, that would be great. You'll see a prompt in there, and it probably seems like a simple prompt, but it's actually one that you want to take your time with and really consider, because it's a powerful one. I am the kind of woman who. I am the kind of woman who. And I want you to keep it simple. Again, it's always just about starting. And I always find when things are simple, they don't scare us too much. And we don't want you to be scared off doing this process or be negative about it. Like I said before, when I started doing this, I didn't believe it. I had to con myself into believing this new identity that I so badly wanted. And so it just started with me writing the identities that I wanted to assume. It was the same when I started business. I had no business experience. Who did I think I was, leaving the corporate world and coming to Bali and starting a business? But I believed in what I was doing. And so I needed to step into the reality of someone that could achieve the dream that I held. And no one was going to do it for me. And so that's why these identity statements are so powerful. We always have the potential to recreate whatever version of ourselves we would like. But it starts with us, and it starts with us writing it down, even if you don't believe it. The more that you look at it, the more that you say it, the more that you come back to it, the more you'll believe it. So start writing in your workbook, I am the kind of woman who. And instead of for home play this week, tonight, instead of calling it homework, as I mentioned before, this is where you actually start to bring it into your life. So once you've written I am statements, I want you to transfer them to those cute little 3M post-it notes and just stick them all over your mirror, whether it's your bathroom mirror. I like things in my bathroom mirror, or it's your mirror in your bedroom, or maybe it's the dashboard of your car, maybe it's in your diary if you don't want other people to see it and it's something just for you that you can open. Just whatever it is, it just needs to be something that you see often. And I always say, people are like, can I write it on my phone? I think there is nothing better than when you're actually writing it by hand. So if you can transfer those to your post-it notes and put them somewhere you'll see every day, the more your brain sees it, the more it starts to recognize it as familiar. And that's what you want. That's what you want to click in. Once it recognizes it as familiar, as I said before, that's when your reality shifts. And that's when you start believing it. Trick your brain into it before you've caught up. And if you feel up to it, what I'd love to ask you to do is just to take a photo. So whatever weird and wonderful places you've stuck them, please take a photo. Please share it below this video to inspire others to do the same, because I'd love to see them. And I do read everything. I love seeing women do this work. And I guess just a tip from me, don't overthink it. I think sometimes we can get stuck in our own heads because often we're all little Miss Perfectionists, and that can often be the biggest barrier to change. So don't be a perfectionist, be messy, be like, just start. Basically, just start and don't overthink it. It's about direction, not perfection. And done is better than perfect. For those that followed me over the pandemic, you'll know that's one of my favorite sayings, and I believe it. Done is better than perfect. Done is where you take action and it gets things moving. And if you feel up to it now, I'd love to hear some of your I am statements. Obviously, I can't see comments at the moment, but I will read them after. And again, for those that haven't done day one, go back and do day one, because today builds upon that. So tomorrow we go into something that explains a lot, which is your energy, something which I love, and why things can feel easy at certain times of the day, but much harder at other times of the day. So stay engaged with this, because again, in day 5, for those that follow along, that comment, that get involved, that put photos up, we're going to be giving away some beautiful $500 gift vouchers for Escape Haven. So let me know in the comments below one thing, just one takeaway you have from today. We all approach things and look at the world in different, weird and wonderful ways. And I often say we get whole brain thinking when we all share something. So make sure you share something below. Let me know if it was helpful. And I really look forward to reading all your comments after this. Thank you for sticking with me today, ladies. See you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening or morning, wherever in the world you may be. Bye.